Welcome to the 15-minute communicator session, Competencies for Leadership Success. Today, Jerry Rhodes, international trainer and expert in the field of communication, discusses 10 important skills that will help you be an outstanding leader.
There are a lot of theories around the concept of leadership. Are they born? Are they made? Is it in the blood, as the monarchies believed long ago, or is it the soul and the desire to rise above the ranks, in essence, ambition? I actually don't have a theory about it, mostly because it doesn't matter. What matters most is you want to be a leader and you want to be a good one. So the bigger question is, what will it take? In the next 15 minutes, we'll touch upon 10 leadership competencies and the behaviors associated with them. You can judge your strengths and weaknesses during this time and determine what you need to practice and improve upon moving forward. These are my 10 competencies. They are in alphabetical order, not order of importance. These competencies come from 30 years of working with leaders and employees and observing the issues involved in leadership. You need them all. You can't pick and choose. You may, however, be stronger in some than others. That's okay. But they all need to be present. You need courage to be authentic, and to be authentic, you need to be self-aware. I don't know any leader that would be followed if they didn't have the knowledge they needed and the ability to communicate their vision. This is like a recipe. All the ingredients need to be there for the dish to come out tasteful. According to the Society of Human Resource Management, leadership competencies are leadership skills and behaviors that contribute to superior performance. Taking a competency approach to increasing your leadership capabilities allows you to compartmentalize leadership behaviors so that you create, in essence, a toolbox of skills. Competencies needed for different positions, depending upon responsibilities and level in the organization, can change. Looking at the various competencies can allow you to consider which ones fit specific leadership requirements. Because organizations differ and roles differ, you will see a variety of competency lists. It's important to note that if your organization has a specific list of competencies it requires and recommends, those are the ones you need to improve upon. If they don't, this is a good place to start. One other important factor about this list is that the obvious managerial competencies are not included. As a manager, you need to manage people, manage work, manage change. You'll find 15-minute communicator sessions on many of those responsibilities. This 15-minute communicator is about leadership. Now let's get started. Authenticity is about being genuine. That means being true to who you are, your values, and your beliefs. And that means not creating an untrue image. Think about leaders you know who suddenly do something and you wonder, who is that person? That's not the leader I thought she was. Leadership contributor to Forbes, Kevin Kruse, recently wrote, "Once a CEO reminded me, leadership is acting. And it surprises me when these same leaders seem shocked or confused when their employees don't trust them, don't like them, and can't really wait to work somewhere else." Authenticity builds trust. The U.S. Bureau of National Research found that a 10% increase in employee trust in management has the same satisfaction as a 36% increase in monetary reward. Authenticity is very important to the bottom line. Being perceived as authentic is a very big obstacle to engagement in many organizations. But to be authentic, you need to be self-aware. Who are you, and how are you comfortable being? How do you find your authentic leadership self? Practice and reflection. When are you most comfortable as a leader? What are you doing? What are you saying? What's working and not working? What are the characteristics of your personality that makes people want to follow you? Ask them. Dig deep, learn, and practice. There is no one way to be a leader. That would be inauthentic. Being authentic to yourself and others is risky. You may find that your authentic leadership self isn't the leader they need, or that you even want to be. We'll talk about courage in a minute, but it's really good to know if you're not in the right place. You cannot be a great leader if you're not a great communicator. Several years ago, the Lamel organization asked CEOs what were the top characteristics for their success. Far and above all the others was communication. Communication is a very big word. It has a multitude of dimensions. It's how you talk, what you say, and how you use your nonverbals. For the purpose of this discussion, let's describe these behaviors as having the ability to develop your thoughts and speak them in a way that can be clearly understood. It's being able to put into language your thoughts, feelings, and wishes. It also includes listening. Of course, listening is much more than just not talking. It's giving space to others' thoughts. It's taking the time to ask questions and further understand your employees' perspectives. It's inquiring, not advocating. Are you authentically interested in what people around you have to say? If you are, chances are you're a good listener. Communication is also nonverbal. What messages are you sending? Overall, a good leader communicates clearly, honestly, specifically, and with intention to allow their staff to succeed. Because communication is so multidimensional, check out some of the more specific 15-minute communicator sessions to delve a bit deeper. Mark Twain said, "Courage is resistance to fear, mastery of fear, not absence of fear." Fear is part of being human, and understanding this is the first step to discovering your own courage. As a leader, you need to have courage in a number of ways. Courage to take the risks needed to move your group forward. Courage to have those necessary conversations with underperforming employees. Courage to say no when the request won't serve your group or the organization. And the courage to do all of that and perhaps not be liked at times. If what I just described, while not enjoyable and not how you'd like to spend your time, is something you know that as a leader you need to step up and do, then you probably have a solid courage competency. Building courage involves risk-taking, so you need to evaluate how risk-averse you are. If just listening to me describe some of the instances you need to have courage makes your heart palpitate or your stomach sink, then you have some work to do. Think about what aspect of your role as a leader gives you the most discomfort. Then start small and do one courageous thing at a time until you build up your tolerance and see how you handle the ramifications. What can you do today that will challenge you just a bit? Confidence, which many confuse with courage, comes from the actions you have the courage to take. T.S. Eliot said only those who risk going too far can possibly find out how far one can go. People want to follow leaders who will take them to a place they themselves don't have the courage to go. Empathy is having a working understanding of employees' feelings, emotions, motivations, and needs, and having the ability to incorporate that information into effective decision-making and communication. This is not feeling sorry for them. This is understanding their perspective so that you can effectively lead them. In a recent study, 70% of employees either hated their job or were disengaged. 70%. You need to understand what makes them feel this way. Not because you're their therapist, you're not. It's because a disengaged workforce costs organizations millions and millions of dollars in lost productivity and absenteeism. Increasing empathy starts with asking questions. Find out how your staff is feeling about working in the department, the organization, the industry. Then ask more questions. Why do they feel that way? And what would make it better? Curiosity for the employee's perception is the cornerstone for empathy. And just by asking the questions, you will be perceived as empathetic. The word integrity has been thrown around so much in the past decade, its meaning has been watered down. Not because it isn't important, it's because it means different things to different people. For these purposes, let's define integrity as having a code of morals and values that are sound and that you consistently adhere to. This is an unwavering commitment to honesty, fairness, decision-making based on values, truth, and justice. Phew, pretty lofty. It's not hard to have integrity sometimes. It's hard to have integrity all the time, regardless of the cost. What does integrity mean to you and the people around you? Each day your integrity is tested. Take care of the small things like showing up on time to meetings, delivering what you promise, and keeping your word. Integrity is a journey. Integrity should be your commitment, and you will be human in your execution. Motivation is the desire to achieve beyond expectations. It's having the energy to keep going. It's having something inside of you that won't stop. Modeling this is so important if you want your people around you to be motivated. Now that's your motivation. Motivation also includes the ability to motivate and persuade others. Are you inspiring? Do you understand what will influence those around you? Remember, what motivates and influences you won't always motivate others. So ask yourself, what is it that motivates you, and what do you need to do to motivate those around you? You can consider more about influencing in the 15-minute communicator session called The Art of Persuasion. We touched upon self-awareness when we discussed authenticity. True personal power comes from the extent of self-knowledge. Do you have a deep understanding of your strengths, weaknesses, needs, and wants? They influence what you do and how you act. Are you honest with yourself? Do you understand what's behind your actions? Other people can see many of your traits. It's good if you know them too. What are the areas of your personality or characteristics that might derail you? In essence, what doesn't work for you? Believe me, in times of stress, these will make an appearance more times than not. Make a list of those and begin to work on them. Also, since we're discussing sometimes what's hidden even to you, ask someone who you trust about certain aspects of your style and which ones work and which ones need some work. Jack Welch reminds us that before you are a leader, success is all about growing yourself. When you become a leader, success is all about growing others. Self-regulation is the ability to manage yourself. It stands to reason that if you can't manage yourself, you can't manage others. Self-regulation includes managing your stress and your attitude. Your team is looking to you to see how good or not so good things are going. If you're stressed, angry, or negative and you show it, they will be stressed, angry, and negative. It's not that you won't feel those things at times, it's knowing how to manage those feelings so they won't seep into the culture of your group. And this is important because you are a leader. Knowing what derails you can help you control it. For example, when I tend to get defensive, I remember to ask a question instead of making a statement. If someone says to me, "I don't like how you explained that concept," I might ask, "What specifically didn't work for you?" or "What would have made it better?" That gives me time to regulate my usual knee-jerk reaction of getting defensive. Self-regulation is taking the time to think, consider, and then act. Not acting irrationally or in a knee-jerk way that won't serve you. It could also include time management so you don't get stressed, or some sort of personal outlet for your frustrations so they don't come to work with you. What would work for you? You need to know your job. More importantly, people need to know you know your job, that you understand the business and you have the skills necessary to get the job done. Do you follow the trends in the industry, and do you know what a good future looks like? This is technical knowledge, and it's not just how you do your job. Knowledge is important for navigating in the organization. Do you understand the company, the people, and the politics? Do you know the product, the customers, and the competition? These are things you need to know. If you don't, you need to build your knowledge base. First off, know your gaps. Where do you need more training, more knowledge, and where can you get it? And make sure you read about the industry, read what the boss is reading. You need to be the person in the know. That's not just knowing information others don't. It's knowing what they know and one step further. They want to follow someone that they believe really understands how to be successful. What knowledge can you build tomorrow? Last but certainly not least is vision. It's your job to set the vision for your group and help them see how that vision feeds into the overall vision of the organization. That's also called line of sight. Vision is about being able to create a powerful future and motivate those around you to help build it. Can you connect what your group is doing to the difference it makes in the organization's ability to be successful? Can you see and communicate what that world will look like? What's in it for the people around you? Vision is also critically important during times of change, which this day and age is all the time. They want and need to get a picture of what they are working towards, that where they spend the majority of their waking hours makes a difference. Vision is important, but do remember, as John Maxwell reminds us, people buy into the leader before they buy into the vision. Vision is one of many competencies. These are the 10 competencies we talked about. What I do want you to remember is that no two leaders are alike. The idea is to become your best leader. Here are some recommendations for further study. TED.com has numerous videos of presentations on leadership from some of the best industry experts. There are a number of books. I continuously recommend anything from John Maxwell. He's probably written the largest number of books on this subject. Also, if there's a leader you admire, like Steve Jobs, Rudy Giuliani, Nelson Mandela, anyone, there are books by and about most great leaders. Pick up one of those and take some of their advice. The important point is that leaders never stop growing, never stop learning, never stop improving. You are asking people to trust you, follow you, put their careers on the line for you. It's a huge ask and a huge risk for many. You owe it to them to become the best leader you can be. You will be more successful for it, and I believe happier as well. And thanks for spending time with the 15-Minute Communicator.